Hello, welcome back, and thanks for watching my channel. And here is a way to lay out UVs pretty quickly for my two daggers that I have. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start right at the top. I'm going to go to the front view. I don't need to see anything special with this. I'm just going to go ahead and do a box automatic mapping on this guy right here. So I'm going to go to UV automatic mapping and go into mapping settings. I'm going to go ahead and reset this, just make sure I don't have anything in here. Uniform, that sounds, everything looks good. Let's just go ahead and project and see how it looks. Okay, so I'm going to go into UV editor, and I'm going to place this over to the side. Okay, it's going to be our top piece. The only thing I don't really like is how it arranged this part of it. So let me make this just a little bit bigger so we can see it. There we go. Okay, that'll work. So right now everything looks good. I'm just going to right click over this UV shell. I'm going to click this guy right here, hit W key, move it out. Do the same thing with this guy. We just want to see these pieces here. Okay, and just move them out to where we can get a hold of them. They're not right on top of each other. Just kind of spread them out a little bit. This will help a lot. Okay, so they're kind of spread out. There we go. So which direction is which? We need to move and sew. It's broken up. They can see there's seams all over the place. And when I go to my perspective view, which is kind of hidden here, here we go. I'm going to move that over like this, and we can kind of get a little bit closer there, and you can see where all the breaks are. We really don't want those breaks to be there. Okay, I think in Substance Painter probably wouldn't matter, but for this particular demonstration, I don't want any seams except in corners like this, or edges, or underneath. Okay, so how do we find out where the underneath is? Well, let's go underneath. And let's go ahead and find it, and I think it's right here. That's that piece right there. Okay, so I think if we cut it in half and then go up from there, we can you know, move and sew things. So that's our bottom. So I'm going to go in and right click over this in the UV editor, click on edge, and I'm going to click on this edge right here. So what I'm going to do is just go to cut and sew, and then move and sew. Okay, you can see that it's working really well. Okay, so it's moved and sewed that piece right there. Right click over the UV shell, click on it, and just move it out of the way again. We're going to continue all the way up and around. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one, edge, click on the edge. And where's that edge? It's this one right here. Now we might have some issues, it might crisscross, I don't know. So I'm going to go to the UV shell, take this, move it up, and then rotate it. Like that. And just get it close. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and of course you can always go to line and snap, or not that one. Nope. We want to go to arrange. There we go. And so you can orient the shell too. That'll help. So if you got it kind of cockeyed like that, you can go to orient shell, and that should orient it. Okay, let's go to UV edge. Okay, and I'm going to go to cut and sew and move and sew. We're going to continue this all the way up. Okay, and then we're going to go to cut and sew and move and sew. Okay, and the top one here, again, this is over on this side, so I'm going to want to rotate that. So go to UV shell, rotate it around, get it kind of close as you can, and then click orient shell, and hit the W key and move it around like that. There we go. And so I'm going to go to edge, click on the edge, and go to move and sew. There we go. Alright, great so far. The next one, of course, it looks like we have this piece right here. Okay, I'm going to want, that's reversed, so I'm going to go in here and click on UV shell and rotate it all the way around. Here we go. Get it close, and then click on orient shell. Here we go. Whoopsie, didn't like that. So I'm gonna have to do it by hand. Get as close as I can. That's a good idea. Get as close as you can. Bring it above it. It doesn't have to be right on top of it. And click on that. And the top one so they match. And then cut so, move and so. We're almost done. It's not hard work. It's just tedious work. Click on the next edge loop. That's this guy right here. Do the same kind of thing. Rotate. Orient shell. Move it. And move and so. Go back to edge, click on edge, and then go to cut UV side. Now you can remember you can pause this video if I'm going too fast. Just pause it after I do one of these move and so's, and then that way you can keep up. Just pause the video. Okay, we've got one last one. It's right here. Yep, and that's upside down as well. So I'm going to go to the shell and rotate and orient shell. There we go. And W key, move it up above. Sometimes the orient doesn't work. You have to do it by hand. That's okay. And we're going to go to edge and we're going to go move and so. There we go. And there we go. That's it. So the only break in there is the seam right there. And would the seam be better off at the very bottom? Yeah, probably would. So that's easy enough to do. So I can go in here. And I'm going to go into edge. Click on that. And we're going to go to cut. So, and we're going to cut. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I know that's the break. Okay. And this piece right here at the bottom is now free to go up here. I think that's how it's going to work. And I'm going to go to edge mode, click on the edge, and there it is. So cut, so, move and so, and there it is. So there's my seam is on the bottom where you can't even see it. So it's perfect all the way around. There we go. Perfect. So zoom in. Okay. So let's go to UV shell and let's move it, and we're gonna have to scale. We have to scale everything at once. Okay. All right. So we're gonna have to select it, and we're gonna scale everything down together so it fits in this spot here. Okay. Here we go. Now normally I would want this rotated around like that and just hit orient shell. Whoops, didn't like that. Let's get a little closer. Nope, it wants to be sideways. Let's go ahead and get it close as we can. I'm gonna zoom in here and rotate it around. Just get it close. Doesn't have to be perfect, but as close as you can. Here we go. And then we'll move it up here on the side like that, and we'll do the same thing over on that side, and we'll rotate that. Get as close as you can. All right, that's good. Good so far. That'll be our first piece. I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm going to be hand packing this stuff. And again, I can do that a little bit better. Select everything and we'll scale that up just a smidgen so it all fits in. So I can give it a larger texture space. Okay, that's good. We don't want it touching the top. We don't want it touching on the bottom. Our UV space is 0 to 1, up to 1, up to 1, but we can't touch these edges. Otherwise, it'll error out when we try to texture. Okay? All right, the next object that we're going to UV map is this right here. Okay? All right, so let's click on this again. The reason why I'm doing that is because I might want to, just until we're all done, just move that out of the way, because when we UV map stuff, it's going to want to put it in the default space right here. So we don't want to mix things up. So let's go to the next one. This is just how I work anyway. All right, so I'm going to use a cylindrical map on this one. Okay, so click on the object, go to hold down the space bar, go to UV here, or you can go up to here to UV. And we're going to do cylindrical mapping. Okay. And this is pretty straightforward. Reset settings. As long as the cylindrical map is up and down, you're good to go. So click on project. There we go. And there's our cylindrical map. Okay. And the first thing I want to do, okay, is to, after our cylindrical map, go to unfold. Click on unfold. There we go. Much nicer. Okay. All right, so there's our unfold, optimize. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think that's our best bet, but I don't like where the, I think we're in the back, aren't we? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So it's in the back like that. So that looks pretty good. That's the front. So I think that's pretty good. We just have to scale it down. It's way too big. And click on it and let's see if the orient shell helped. There we go. And then we're going to scale that down. So cylindrical mapping, I guess I'm just going to cut the rest of that out that I had before. I'm going to unfold it again a little bit, kind of, and optimize maybe. That helps a little bit. The seams in the back, that looks good. Okay. All right, so let's go into shell and we're going to move that out of the way. So let's go to the next one. All right, this will be automatic mapping. It's a square. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. So automatic mapping on that guy right there. So I'm going to go to UV automatic map. There we go. That lays it out pretty good. We don't have to do much to this. Not quite sure about this end piece. I don't really like that. But the rest of it looks pretty good. Okay, so we're good there. Select it. Where are the end pieces? Not quite sure. Should have quite a few. Where are you guys? Let's take a look at UV shell. That's the underneath. Oh, okay, there's the end right there. So that's part of it. It's all part of it. That's really interesting that it did that. Let's go to faces. There they go. Okay. Well, that looks good, actually. Okay, it packed it pretty tight. So let's go to UV shell and that's too tight for comfort, so I'm going to go to tools, or excuse me, modify, go into where are you at, layout, and click on this guy right here. Everything looks good. Packing iterations, yeah, so we got packing at 20. We got a little bit of space there. Let me click on layout UVs. There we go. Zoom in. 20 is still pretty close, but that's okay. Okay, that looks good. Now, didn't have to do much with that one, unless you want to lay them out so they're flat in a certain direction. So I'm gonna move this up and rotate and rotate. I'm gonna move this up and rotate. I'm going to go ahead and orient shell. I'm just going to move that and rotate it around a little bit better. And then I'm going to take this, rotate it around, and move that up. Orient the shell. Rotate that around. Orient shell. And I'm going to orientate it because I just want this to be facing a different way. I does a pretty good job of laying out your UVs, but I want the grain of the metal to be this way. Okay, does that make sense? So that's important. I just need to make sure that everything's lined up that way. Because if I have brushed metal or anything like that, you're going to definitely see that it doesn't look right. So you have to kind of take the time to get this lined up properly. There we go. And so I can just pack this myself. Okay. get it as close as I can. Do the best job that I can. There we go. Shouldn't be too hard. Again, this is kind of wonky, a little bit wonky here. I want an orange shell. Still wants to wonk out on me, so I'm gonna get as close as I can. All right, so there you go. There's that part. I'm gonna click on all of them, hit the W key, and just move it down. Okay, for now, it's okay. And then the, whoops, and then the sword piece at the bottom. Click off of there. Go back into object mode, selection mode. Click off the checkerboard. Okay, go back into the Q key, which is selection mode. Let's click on the sword. Okay, the sword is a planar map. Okay, plain and simple. It's the easiest one. So we're going to go to UV, and then we're going to go to planar map. And this will, we're going to be facing the Z. Okay, that's good. Project. And there it is. That's the easiest one. Okay. All right, so it's so close to that. Oh my goodness, I don't like that. It's let's go to modify layout UVs and UV layout the UVs again. And this time I'm gonna scale it up. Again, it depends on how you want the grain of the metal to look. So you're either going to want it like this, okay, right, for the grain, the metal of the grain of the metal, depending on which way it goes. So in Substance Painter, you're going to have to kind of finesse that. And then, or if you want the best texture space, it would be something like that at a 45-degree angle. Okay. Of course, you can scale that up to get more texture space out of that. You just have to kind of play around till you get the right angle. It's not going to be perfect. Let me move that around a little bit. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but let's get that in there and rotate a little bit more like this. And then hit the W key and just kind of move it around until you get it just right. Okay, that's pretty close. Okay. And so you just got to remember that the blade now will be like, if you do a texture and it has, like, the metal has some grain in it, then you're going to need to make sure that you have that set at 45 degrees. Okay, but that works. That's fine. That I've done plenty of blades like that. It just gives me more texture space. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So that'll be the end piece right here. So we get that set up. So now we can lay out our UDIM tiles. Okay, just make sure that doesn't touch anywhere in here. Those black lines or that in there, and we just go around the whole thing. So I'm going to select the whole thing now together. Select everything together like that, and then you can see everything. So we're going to go. Whoops, I don't need to do that. I have it selected now. So I can go in here to UV shell. So this will be right here. Okay. Okay. The handle will be right here. Okay. And the pommel will be right here. Zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now we're going to have to find out what we have for textile density. Our textile density is the resolution of our texture. Where are we at with that? So if I click on this guy right here and I go down to transform, I think it's in here. At the bottom of transform, you go to get, and it tells you it's 77.95. Okay, so I'm going to click on this guy right here. And get. It's a little bit lower, but it's close. Click on this guy here and get. That is way different. So let's take a look at all this. Let's put the checkerboard on there, and this will give us kind of what the texture will look like. Okay. Now the discrepancy is not too bad. That means we have a lower resolution on the blade. Okay, because it's at a it's at a 45-degree angle, and it's a big piece. And my resolution on here is low. It's about almost half of what we have on the handle. Okay. What we could do is we could make everything the same, but that would make these pieces really small. Okay, so this is what I mean. So if I go in here and click on the blade and do a get, and that's the largest piece, we have to go and get that, and then we're going to select these guys, and I'm going to go ahead and set it, and see how much smaller it makes those. Okay, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. If we want all the texture density to be exactly the same for everything, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to click on set, and I'm going to click on these guys and set. Okay, so seems like a huge waste of space, right? Just to follow the blade, just have enough room for the blade, because we can't make the blade and cross over between these UDIM TAs. You can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of okay with what we had before. I'm okay with it, the resolution being on the blade a little bit, less resolution. I'm not too worried because we're at 4096. That resolution is huge. So even if this is a lower resolution than the rest, I'm okay. So I'm going to do a Control Z. Okay. So you just kind of have to make that a determination. And I could go into Substance Painter and go, oh, that's not working at all, and come back and make those changes, and I could do that. Okay, so we've got our UDIM tiles all done. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the other blade you're going to have to do on your own. Okay, so I showed you how to do it on mine. This one's really similar to this one. This has a little more detail in it, but you get the idea of how to UV map. Okay, if you have questions about your how to UV map your object, feel free to contact me. Okay, that's about it. So UV mapping. Let's go into object mode. We'll get you the rest of the way here. So we need to get this. We have to save this now that the UV map is completed. Now we can combine it. So let's go into combine. You can click on that icon here. You can hold down the spacebar and go to mesh and combine, and that'll make it all one object. Okay, we'll need to do that, and then we need to go in here and do a snapshot. So do a snapshot. And it needs to be PNG 4096, and U is 4. Okay, and we're going to go into browse. Where do we want to put this? I want to put it in my documents folder. I want to find it and put it in the right project folder. So it'd be Annie 150 Dagger. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to go into here, and then we're going to go into the source images, and that's where I want to place it. I'm going to name it Dagger 01 text. Let's just call it TX _ UV. Keep it a short name. Dagger 1, so we know that's Dagger 1. Texture UV. Save that. Apply and close. It's saving all the snapshots. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we need to go and save the project. So that's saved. Okay, let's go ahead and save. You want to save the project, so file, save, seen as, and we will save this project and in increments. This is number 7, and save it. There it is. So there's my low poly saved, and then you go to the object that you created, your Dagger that you created, and lay out the UVs for that. Okay, that's it for today, and I will see you guys soon in another video.